this point in the apparel industry, they haven't found a way to create soft fabrics without using some of these chemicals. And so the closed loop process really is providing a way to still be able to do this, but in a sustainable way.
Right, because the whole thing is that when these clothes end up in a landfill, because after a while, everything does end up after wear and tear. That it breaks down, and like you were saying, those plastics are here forever. We know that you have a quality product and it's going to be recycled a lot, but when it eventually meets its end.
The other places where we're trying to be sustainable too is how do we keep our products out of the landfill? And that was one of the places where you guys came in, was like, oh, here's a company we can partner with that can get some, because the part of the apparel industry is that we get aftermarket issues where you get a run of fabric that has an error, or it wasn't sewn correctly, or they didn't dye it the right color. How do you handle returns in a sustainable way? And or people, what do they do with their old clothes that they don't want anymore? So it's like, how do we come up with ways to keep those things out of the landfill? And that part. So we are in the process of figuring all of that out, and you guys are one of the partners in that.
Why is it important that you shared on your website that you worked with the same company in China or the same workers for 15 years? Why was that an important thing for you to share?
Because I think that people get the idea that sewing overseas is always using, labor at low wages, or labor where factory conditions aren't being cared for. And a lot of times, in our case, the bamboo is grown right in China, and to keep our footprint low, we also need to sew in China. Because there's also, if we were to bring the fiber, have the fiber made in another country that maybe doesn't have the stigma of low wage workers, then it requires it going across the ocean one more time. So we monitor our factory really closely. In fact, they've become family and friends, and they're a part of us and a part of what we do. And we want people to know that they're the same, that just because our factory is in China, it could be here in the it would be just like being here in the United States, or somewhere where that they perceive things to be different. And so and that that the Chinese people are really wonderful, and they're really caring, and they are really proud of the job that they do for us. And it's like, we just wanted to share that too.
Last year during the pandemic,
Mhm.
there was a whole campaign called Pay Up, where people were rallying to make sure that some of the people who got orders last year were not cheated out of the funds that they should have been receiving, since they made the orders. And that's also another wonderful thing, because it seems to me that you wouldn't have any of these concerns, because just like you said, you're all one. The company is one.
Yeah, and the other thing that we worked to do during the pandemic to actually prevent that was, and it actually started before the pandemic as one of our sustainable practices, is we don't over order. We order what we know we can sell, and we pay more to do that. So what the big retailers often do is they order large quantities of fabric. They produce large quantities of, they use data projections to produce their clothing, and they end up with a lot of extra. So
Mhm.
um, we try to keep it small. We do small production runs. We pay more for that, which makes our products cost slightly more
Mhm.
on the end. But in the process, we're able to keep our workers working. We're able to not have to cancel orders if a situation arises, where, like the pandemic, for instance.
Right.
So we did experience delayed shipping like everyone else, but it was really okay because of how our system works. We get continuous small orders throughout the year. So they just sort of stacked up in a different way.
And you did not have the same issues during the pandemic, as far as some companies, as far as losing ground.
No, we actually, amazingly, our products were something people really wanted. I mean, I'm very grateful for. Our products were something people really wanted at home: comfortable bamboo pajamas or loungewear and bamboo bedding.
Everybody wants to be comfortable at home. If you're working from home, you don't want to wear. I know I wanted to buy like everything slouchy, so you know,
Like, products still look good over Zoom. So
right, right. You still have to look good over Zoom. That's the whole thing. So one of the things that I also read about is that one of your employees kind of had a vision of wanting to travel during the pandemic, and
yeah,
then started to draw out a design about some of the places, or tell me what exactly it was. What was it that she designed?
she's a really amazing artist, and she drew a seaside print on her iPad, and we turned it into a fabric. And it's really great. What we did during the pandemic is, because we didn't have access to a lot of our outside partners, we just brought everything in house, and we gave everyone, our employees, the opportunity to be more creative, do more things, and it worked out really well. And so now keeping that model. We're keeping the model of where we can, have more flexibility with our jobs, more flexibility working, being able to allow our employees to be more creative and be more a part of all the process.
And,
And
and
so,
what did you learn during that time? What did you learn from that whole time? Because you said creativity kind of grew in that
yeah,
time.
it was really interesting, because I think that we learned that you could have opportunity in an adversity, in what would normally be adverse situations. Instead of all of us panicking and worrying about the future, we just turned that energy towards creating opportunity where we could. And I think it was a big lesson in surrender, um, and trust, and really trusting each other to get our jobs done,
Mhm.
um, and really just being supportive. Also, really learning to truly support each other in our positions to create a better work environment.
And you say it's a small company, so I imagine that it really does count,
Yeah,
how you can depend on each other.
yeah. There's 11 of us total,
Mhm.
and Rachel and I are both employees as well, so we have job tasks and all of those things, not just managing. Uh, Everybody here kind of wears multiple hats. We can all sort of jump in and help on anybody's position in case they need assistance or need time. And so that happened through the pandemic, where some of us worked from home, some of us were in the warehouse, we switched places, we just all kind of did what we could to support each other.
And so, what is your hope as far as sustainability goes in your industry, in the retail industry? What do you want to see on a large scale basis?
Yeah, I would like to see on a large scale basis more companies working um, to look at all aspects of the apparel industry, and how, from our footprints, and to not just our fabrics, but our fabrics, our manufacturing, our shipping, our employee culture, our community culture, because I think all of it really is part of the sustainability process. It's not just that our fabrics are, socially or eco. We should all be socially responsible.